All right, guys. Kene is back, and I'm here with another problem that we need to solve using Python. Okay. Now, what's the problem for today? Write a Python program to display the Fibonacci sequence up to the end term. Now, what's the Fibonacci sequence or Fibonacci? What are Fibonacci numbers? It's all about having a sequence of numbers that, let me just show you guys. So suppose I have 0 and 1. Now, the next number should be the sum of the previous two numbers. And so when you progress in that way, you build a Fibonacci sequence. So if I have 0 plus 1, that should be 1. And then for the next, the sum of the previous two numbers. So that's like 1 plus 1, 2, and then 1. This 1 plus 2, that gives us 3. I mean, that gives us 3. Then 2 plus 3, the sum of the previous two numbers, that gives us 5. And the sum of the previous two. So for the next after 5, it has to be 3 plus 5, that is 8. And for the number after 8, it has to be sum of the previous two, that is 5 plus 8, 13. You know, it just goes on and on and on. So what I have here is a Fibonacci sequence of numbers. I hope you understand. So how do we write a program in Python to help us generate this sequence up to, say, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to the 8th term, like this. So 8 numbers of a Fibonacci sequence, for example, right? Can we attempt it? So we understand what the Fibonacci sequence is. It's a sequence of numbers that has a particular number as the sum of the previous two numbers. So, guys, I'm going to approach it this way. This is how I'm going to do it. The first number there is 0. So if it's the first number, I know that we don't have two previous numbers. You know, the first number has nothing in front of it. So I'm just going to ask the system to give us a 0. Then the second number does not have two previous numbers. There's only one previous number, which is 0. So again, I'm just going to ask the computer to just give us the 1. And it comes to the third position here, this third position. Now the number at the third position, has two previous numbers. So I'm going to say, okay, yeah, fine. So I'm here in this third position. What do I have in the position before the third? That is 1. And what do I have in the position before the second, which is 0? Right? So it just adds the 0 and the 1. It just adds up these two to give us this. So that's how I'm just going to check. If I get to a particular position, I will get the two numbers, you know, the two preceding numbers, the one immediately before it and the 1, 2 places before it. Add them up, and that gives me the correct number. Do you understand? So, guys, now let's see how that's going to happen. Writing my Python program, first I need to collect my numbers in a list. So I'm just going to say L1 and initialize that to an empty list. Right, so that's how you do that, initialize an empty list. Then I'm going to use a for loop. So for I in range. Now I need to set a range. So let me call this num range. Num range should be up to the 8th number. So if I have the 8th number, I should put this, right? Now I'll come here, range starting from 0 to num range plus 1. So what I want to do is that, okay, fine. You know, I want to stop at the 8th number, the 8th position. So to include the 8th position, I need to add 1 because Python is going to use the number just before what you have, all the numbers just before what you have in the range. So if I intend that the 8th position should be used, then I need to do 8 plus 1, right? So the next I'm going to do now is to say, okay, fine, if the I there, right, is equal to, say, 0, or the I there is equal to 1, then just print I. Just print it. You understand? So it's going to go from 0 to 1 to 2. So if I have 0 or 1 as a value of I, then just print it. Then the next I'm going to do now. So I know that the first two numbers have been, printed and used. So I'm going to now get the numbers. So I'm in the 3rd position now. So I'm going to ask Python to get me the numbers in the 2nd and 1st position. If I'm at the 3rd position, I want to get the number at the 3rd position. So I need to ask Python to get me the numbers in the 2nd and 1st positions. Well, instead of printing here, I don't want to print. I want to collect in my list. So I'm going to use append, just L1 append I. That's what I want actually. So I'll just append I to that. Else, so let me just call this a value, just call it val. And it's going to be this. Since I have two numbers now, at this point, when I come to this else, I already have two numbers appended to L1. That is 0 and 1, remember? So it will just simply be L1 at position, since I'm in the 3rd position, 2nd position will be I minus 1 plus my list at position I minus 2. So that will be the very first one, the very first number, and this is the 2nd number. That is if I am looking for the number that should be in the 3rd position, right? So, once I moves up by 1, then what I have as I minus 1 and I minus 2 also move up by 1. So, the shift continues progressively like that. So that val now, I need to append it to L1. So L1 dot append, then put the val inside of it. And that's all you need to do, guys. That's all. So when I print my list, that is L1, and let's see what we have there. This should be fib. Yeah. So we see, guys, it gives us 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2 plus 3, 5, 5 plus 8, 13, 8 plus 13, 21. You can get it up to, let's see, Fibonacci sequence up to the 100th term. Let's see what that gives us. Yeah. So we have it, guys. So these are the Fibonacci numbers up to the 100th term. It's quite slow. So this may not be very effective for very large numbers, I must admit. So let's make this to 500. Okay. Right. So thank you. I hope we learned something from this, guys. And I'll see you in my next video when I come your way with yet another Python program. So have a nice day and bye.